In Antarctica, time after time, inexplicable events occur. People working at the stations meet strange luminous objects, and at night from under the ice, a long and frightening sound is heard. Such stories are not rare among local polar explorers. These notes are found years later. But is it true? Let's find out. People have come to believe that Antarctica is just snow and endless ice, and the local people there are penguins, bears, and walruses. But people who manage to visit there in reality tell very strange and sometimes frightening versions. It is worth starting with the fact that the profession polar explorer, as such, does not exist at all. So-called all those who work in the Arctic and Antarctica. They are mostly scientists, such as meteorologists, oceanologists, and geophysicists. They all live at the polar station. It's a small settlement with houses, technical buildings with equipment, and a smoothly running diesel power station. Today's story was sent to me by one of my subscribers. Having read it in full, I could not pass by, and if all this is true, it makes you think. And if you like this column, let's collect 10,000 likes under this video, and I will voice similar stories much more often. This is what Alexei sent me, name changed for privacy reasons. I graduated from university in 2015, and I was offered to go to Antarctica. I didn't refuse. Of course, it was not so spontaneous. I knew in my third year that I would go there, adventure and all that, but I'm not a scientist. How can I meet the requirements? And I replied, "It's okay, there are no special requirements. Now we need a person who knows how to work with a computer, does not bruise, and at least a little friendly with the head. I think, no, well, what? The money for the season pay decent, and Antarctica, this is the most promising that I generally liked in the foreseeable future. There will be something to tell my grandchildren. And I have a lot to tell, unfortunately, but perhaps about everything in order. I passed medical examination, the commission studied my organism, was convinced of the strength of health. They say that I am fit. Then I passed a couple of theoretical classes. In essence, they said that everything will be explained on the spot. It took us 2 months to get to Antarctica on the ship Academic Fedorov. There are enough stories about the way for several posts, but I will be brief. I worked there as a magnetologist. The tasks were not very intellectual: to control the work of magnetometers, to follow 3 bars on the monitor, and to send reports every day. It took an hour, and there was no epic walking on ice, conquering the poles, and eating my own sled dogs from hunger. And it wasn't the cold at -50 that was my main enemy, it was boredom. This is because I did not often go outside, as they call it. I was soaking at the devices in warm rooms. The most pressurizing thing on the psyche is the polar night. Gloomy atmosphere, the movie 30 Days of Night comes immediately to mind, complete apathy. You don't want to do anything. And during this polar night, there was an unusual event, which I want to tell you about. On one of the days of June 2016, a large land contacted our station. The news concerned the neighboring Chinese station. It was located quite close, about 2 hours of driving in an all-terrain vehicle. The narrow-eyed colleagues could not contact this station for a day, so they asked us to help the Russians, since we are closest to them, to visit them, so to speak. It is very strange, we thought in chorus, because what can be problems with the connection if several independent phones are kept at any station? So that all of them break at the same time is unrealistic. Probably there is some kind of emergency. Fire, for example, or something else. Therefore, we quickly organized a rescue team of 3 people. I, including, because healthy 2 meters if we have to carry weights, just right. And with me, a driver and meteorologist, supplied us with everything that could be useful for all occasions. We sat on a Caterpillar all-terrain vehicle and went on ice to reconnaissance. Got without adventure. The light of the Chinese was repaid. At first glance, no signs of fire, and also no signs of life. Looking around fluently, we went inside the 2-story building, the main building, as the driver told us, who already had to go here earlier. It turned out to be dark inside. There was no light. The rooms were protruded. The temperature was almost the same as on the street. The station looked abandoned. We thought the disorder and, turning on the flashlights, began to inspect the premises. Call polar explorers. It did not answer us. Silence. When we began to freeze and were going to turn back, we stumbled upon a locked metal door that led, apparently, to the basement. The metal was thick. There was no pen or valve on it. It seems that it only opens from the inside. Question: why would the Chinese have such a massive door, just like in a storage? Throwing an attempt to find a way to open it, we returned to an all-terrain vehicle, reported our situation. At the exit, I heard the driver of the driver. "Guys, here, Aida. Guys!" Immediately darted to the voice. The drove was waving a red sleeve from a shotgun. "You see, I found at the well there are several more. From what figs did these narrow-eyed firearms pour here?" Bypassing any conventions, the situation began to strain us very much. Traces of the shootout, the presence of weapons. The Chinese are going to squeeze Antarctica? And where did they go? We came to the conclusion that if they hide, it is only behind that metal door. Only now. The building was protected. We immediately reported on everything to our own. They suggested that it was just someone from Kai to use from boredom. The roof went and arranged a slaughterhouse. But we immediately rejected this version because there were no traces of blood and holes from the fraction anywhere. The boss said to return. There was nothing more to do at the empty station. As for the sleeves, by some miracle, the case was frozen and we were told to be silent. If the Chinese keep their weapons, then certainly not for peaceful purposes. This is a gross violation of declarations. The situation is really strange, but if you figure it out, then there are a lot of such stories among ordinary people. That's what I managed to find further. The event took place during the USSR, and not so long ago, in the late 1960s, Soviet researchers went to the southern magnetic pole. I quote, "It was a polar day, and almost all the time of our journey was beautiful weather. The thermometer showed only -30 degrees Celsius. There was no wind. For Antarctica, it was a rarity. We passed the route in 3 weeks, without having lost a minute to repair the car. The first nuisance occurred when we set up the main camp at the point that corresponded, according to all our measurements, the southern magnetic pole. Everyone was exhausted, so they went to bed early, but could not fall asleep. Feeling unclear anxiety, I got up, left the tent, and 300 meters from our all-terrain vehicle saw a luminous ball. He jumped like a football, only his dimensions were 100 times more. I screamed and everyone ran out. The photographer of the expedition went forward with his camera, although the senior group shouted to stand still. But he continued to go, clicking the shutter. And this thing, she instantly changed her shape again, stretched out with a narrow ribbon, and attacked the photographer. I remember how he screamed and dropped the device. At that moment, 2 shots were heard. It seemed to me that they were shot not with explosive bullets, but by bombs. Such a sound. The luminous tape swelled, sparks and some short zippers sprayed in all directions. A fire began. I rushed to the photographer. He lay face down and was dead. The back of the head, palms, and as it turned out later, the whole back seemed to be charged. The polar special coil turned into rags. We tried to contact the radio with our Murney station, but nothing came of it. Something unimaginable was going on the air, a continuous whistle and growl. I never had to meet such a wild magnetic storm. It lasted all 3 days that we spent at the pole. The camera itself turned out to be molten, as if from a direct hit of lightning. Snow and ice, where the tape crawled, evaporated, forming a rut 1/2 meter and 2 meters wide. We buried the photographer Sasha at the pole. What kind of creature it was, we could not find out. It must be said that officially the existence of these strange creatures has not been proven and not recognized by science. However, Soviet, American, and Italian polar explorers over the years of residence in the territory of Antarctica met them several times. But if in cases with foreign experts, such meetings ended in observation from afar, then ours, unfortunately, came into contact according to the full program. This is what the other polar experts said. This creature is not from our world, since gravity did not act on it. Bullets also did not cause any harm. Our technique turned into a pile of garbage, and 3 of the colleagues died in this unequal battle.